two hospitals in Georgia became the first medical facilities in the nation to be hit with stiff fines for failing to disclose their prices. That's now required by the federal government. Our expert in this field is Paul Seegert at PCS Advisors.
Well, my reaction was that it's about time. It's pretty crazy that we as consumers can go in and spend tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars on a service and not know what it's going to cost until long after. And this transparency rule was part of the original Affordable Care Act. And here we are all these years later. I mean, they fought it in the courts for 10 years, finally lost, had to comply supposedly as of January 1 of 21, but with a $300 a day fine. That wasn't very convincing. So, most hospitals, frankly, ignored the rule. You've got less than 1% of hospitals in the three largest chains, even as of this moment, that are in compliance. And depending on who you believe, maybe 14% overall. But now they have upped the fines. We're at a max of $2 million per hospital, which for mid-size and up hospitals is still a pretty nominal number, but more convincing than $300 a day. So now we're starting to see some letters go out. I think there's over 300 letters of warning to some of these hospitals and some actual enforcement going on, which I think is positive.
Do you expect more dominoes to begin to fall here?
I do. I think what we're seeing in these cases is they asked them to have a plan to get compliant, and they did not submit a plan, pretty much just ignored the requests from the government, from CMS. Others, I think, are able to buy time just by saying, hey, here's our plan to get compliant. So I think in these cases it was fairly flagrant that they didn't even respond. But I expect we will see more.
Is this a case, Paul, where we as consumers can put a little extra pressure on our doctors and our medical facilities and say, hey, where's this information?
You can. I think it's a first step in one of many that will have to occur for us to actually consume healthcare like we do other things, where we know what it costs in advance, where we can shop using the normal tools of consumption that we do, cost and quality. We've got this insurance payment model where we're all consuming in terms of our copays and deductibles that don't typically relate to real cost of care. That's still in place. That'll still continue. But it's a good first step for us to be able to know what these things cost. And once we get this in place, perhaps we can see some evolution in the system of plans that reward good consumption becoming more common.
That is National Health Benefits expert Paul Seegert.